Hi, Merch Money. We have Amy Wees with us today. I always enjoy doing shows with Amy. I know last time so many people said it was one of their favorites. The one we did about the China trip, and unfortunately that got canceled.
Yeah, we're still on for October, but yeah, I mean, I love talking about China. I love going to China.
Yeah.
And so I'm just really, I'm praying for all of our suppliers over there. And I hope that they're, I've been in contact with a lot of them, and I know that they're doing well and they're back to work. And so despite some of the media, doom and gloom that's going on, and it's definitely a concern. We shouldn't make light of it, right?
Right.
It's definitely a concern. But it's good to see that people are back to work and that it looks like things are going to be good to go for October. So I'm looking forward to that.
Perfect. Well, we'll probably have you back on sometime before that just to talk about it again. But today we wanted to talk about the Inspire Virtual Summit. So some of you may, if you've watched any of the last two videos I did with Amy, we mentioned the Inspire conference at different points in the video. And I had really wanted to go, but it didn't quite work out. There was just so much going on in January. But she had an amazing conference in San Antonio. So now we're doing the virtual summit, which we'll get into what that is. But do you want to tell a little bit about how that conference went and all of that?
Yeah, it was really awesome. My reason for wanting to have a conference was to connect with all of you, to connect with the community, because I felt like when I took the leap to become an entrepreneur, like October of 2018 is when I took that leap. So not that long ago, I felt like this community, this online community, was my lifeline. And when you kind of, you go out and you go to dinner or you go to like school events, and the minute you say like you're an entrepreneur or you do something different, people kind of are like, I don't know how to talk to you now, So I just kind of felt like, wow, I was turning 40, and for the 40th birthday is kind of a big deal. And I was like, I want to do this. I want to connect with people in this online community who I feel so close to. And not only that, I want to serve them with something that I know that they struggle with. Being a business coach, I get to talk to people that have all different business models, all different businesses, and people struggle. All of us struggle with the same things.
Mm-hmm.
We all struggle with, okay, I am working in my business day to day. I don't know what my business is going to become in 10 years or 5 years, or some of us don't even know in 1 year.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to get there. And I don't really know what is my business's why? Am I doing the right thing? Having the confidence to kind of get over our fears and go after things, being able to set goals. So I kind of took all of these things that over hundreds of coaching calls that I've seen people struggle with. And I said, I am going to create a conference like no other. A conference like, you can go to these big conferences and you can just listen. And you might get a lot of information, but you're not really sure how to apply it.
Right.
So what we focused on was actionable workshops. So every presentation that we had was either something to really help you, give you ways to change your mindset or ways to apply the information, or worksheets that would go along with it. So that's what we really focused on. And we thought, people said this was transformative for them, that this is the best conference they had ever been to, that they left with a new passion for their business and for going after their dreams. And it was more than I ever could have hoped it could be. And so I thought,
I'm so happy.
Yeah. So I thought, like, why not have a virtual summit for the speakers that couldn't come during the physical summit or physical conference? Why not have a virtual summit, invite some of them on? So we have, I think, like 6 or 7 new speakers that are coming on during this virtual summit. And then we have 3+ days of content from over 15 speakers. from the Inspire conference. So we're not only going to bring some of them back on to do live Q&As so that if you couldn't be there physically and you're just watching the presentation, you can now maybe ask some questions. But we're also going to show all of those presentations, give you any worksheets that came along with those presentations, and then invite the new speakers like Helen on to teach us some new things as well during that time. So you're going to get 3 days of content from March 18th through the 22nd. And let's say that that's the middle of spring break for you and you only got to catch like 2 of the presentations on day 1. We're going to leave those videos in that group for up to 60 days after the event.
Nice.
So for 60 days, not up to 60. We're just like cut it off after like a week. We said up to 60 days, you guys. No, so 60 days after the event to make sure that you have plenty of time to watch them. And then we've also organized them in a way. Our conference was designed to build, all the information was designed to build on the previous day. So the first day we talk about like vision and talking about your business with confidence and kind of defining your business. And the second day we talk about strategy and growth and goal setting. And then the third day is all about execution. So it's like all of these things that are designed to build on each other so you can kind of go through a flow. And then our guest speakers will come on and kind of put them into those categories as well. So you're going to be able to watch them at any time and engage and ask questions virtually. And do it at home in the comfort of your PJs.
It's so perfect because there's so many people that are all over the world. That's what's so hard about online conferences. I love online conferences. It's so nice to meet people in person. I love live conferences because it's so nice to meet people in person. Yeah. But at the same time, sometimes you're literally on the other side of the world or, you've got kids at home, you can't quite get away. So it's nice to have the option of having an online as well. And I just was so inspired by the speakers that you had at the first one. I know you had Joy Packard, who I've heard speak before. She's amazing. Tell us a little bit more about some of the other speakers.
Yeah, so I can break down the days for you, the content.
Sure.
So on the day before the conference, we had what was called a business builder night. Mm-hmm. And we did this exercise called defining your business why.
That's so important.
So many of us, we know our why. We've done these exercises like a million times at every conference, but do you know your actual business's why? Like, why does your business exist? What is its mission? What is your business? Why is your business? So we did this exercise that night where you had to answer all these questions. We have the worksheet in the summit for you to download. But you had to answer all these questions and you don't really understand at the time why you're answering these questions, but you're like, okay, I don't know what that's going to do. Okay, I'll answer that question. And then you get to the end of it and suddenly you have like this defined vision and mission for your business. And you're like, whoa, I don't even know how that happened. So it's just so cool the way that Kristen walks us through that. So that was the first night. And then the next day I start out talking about mindset. That's the first presentation. And mindset is so important, right?
So important. It's everything really. Cause that's the difference between how people stay or people that drop off and you don't hear from them anymore.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, there's so many people that have limiting beliefs about themselves, about what they can do, about, how far they can go. And so this talk is all about, it's not really a workshop. It's all about how can you change the way that you're thinking so that you can get past your fears and really become one of those people that you aspire to be, right? Those people that seem to effortlessly achieve their goals, yeah. How can you become that person? And that's what this talk is all about. I kind of walk you through that and how to let go of your fears, because that's something I had to do in my own life. Taking the leap to become a full-time entrepreneur was one of the scariest things I've ever done. And I grew so much in that time. And so I really just wanted to provide that same leap of confidence for our attendees. So that's what the first presentation is all about. Then we have Zara Cruzan. She's actually in San Antonio. So most of you probably have not heard of her, but she has a company called The Brand Author. And she teaches all about branding, but in a way where she helps you understand why brands have value and how you can add more value to your brand. And so specifically in the print on demand business, your brand may need some value, right? You may want to present a specific image for your brand. So she gives us not only some advice as to how to do that for our brand, but she also gives us some practical examples in terms of how she was able to take, like, for example, she took a granola bar that was marketed to women and had certain colors and stuff. And she talks about how she studied the market and the makeup of this granola bar and all of that kind of stuff. And she worked with the brand owner, and they changed the packaging and they started marketing it to men. And something that wasn't selling ended up taking off. So having an understanding, and now it's like in all the grocery stores and everything else.
Wow.
Having an understanding of the tweaks that you can make when you're trying to sell, whether it's a shirt or a private label product,
right?
Or, whenever you're trying to sell something, it's who you're presenting it to and how you're presenting it that matters. Gives us practical advice on how to do that. So it was so powerful and amazing.
Awesome.
Then we had Stephanie Scheller. She's also from San Antonio. She was one of the people that I first saw speak. And she talks about marketing. She's just a wonderful, she also, hosts her own retreats and everything, but she talked about marketing, and she explains to us that how many of us have spent money on Facebook ads that haven't worked.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Like how much money have you spent on Amazon PPC or on print on demand advertising that hasn't made any money for you? And so she explains to us how the methods that you use to advertise is what most people spend their time on, but it's not that you need to spend your time on. It is actually the message that you're putting out and kind of crafting that. So she walks us through how to do that and how to study the target market and how to present. And then she gives us some practical examples of brands and how they're doing that. So it helps us kind of make the link of, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
And she talks about how like your message is not your tagline.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, people don't always understand that. I don't know. I'm not great at that either. Like I'm still trying to get that, but she really helped me understand it and gave me some practical ways to move forward in my marketing. So loved it.
Yeah. That's one thing, like with these business conferences or conferences like this, like any one of these talks could have the potential to increase your business so much. Like imagine if you go home, or now you are home if you're doing the online one, and you just apply what you learned in that conference, just that one speaker. Oh my gosh. Okay. So Joy, what was her name that you just said?
Stephanie Scheller.
Yeah. Stephanie Scheller. Okay.
Yep. And all of this is on the link that you put out there. All of these speaker names and what they're presenting is in the link.
Guys, that should be, if you're watching on Facebook, it should be in this description. And if you're watching on YouTube, well, also the description, but it should be both places. If you have to step away for anything while you're watching on Facebook, you can just watch it on YouTube after.
Definitely. And then we have Ashley Paragoy, and she was also from San Antonio, but she was a military wife, so she kind of moved around a lot. Landed in San Antonio, but she talks about vision and how our brands really, if your brand and your business is not a representation of you, then you're not going to be happy.
Yeah.
And well, I think never thought about that.
I think with vision, the other important thing, I like how you distinguish between yourself and the business, because if your vision's not powerful enough for the business, if you ever have employees or anything like that, the vision's not powerful enough to include all of them and have them go towards the vision. So vision's more and more important as you grow.
Yeah. And so she really talked to us about what goes into a vision and kind of understanding, because anyone can give us a practical exercise of how to come up with a vision statement. But if you don't understand the foundation behind that and why it matters, it's really hard to have a vision for your business that is actually going to be effective for you and drive you forward.
Mm-hmm.
So that really was powerful for me. I mean, I learned
Yeah.
so much. I really enjoyed this conference because I'm like, oh my gosh, I learned so much. I grew so much.
That's what's so fun about planning it yourself, because it's like everything you need. That's how I feel with this show. Like every speaker I have on the show, something I need to learn. So it's like my own personal
Yes.
school, like the last 2 years.
Yes, that's same thing with our podcast. It's so incredibly powerful. You learn so much that you didn't even know was out there.
Yeah.
We're not even at the end of day one.
I know, right? Before we continue, Patty just has a burning desire to know what the sign behind you says.
Oh, it actually says the Canton Fair experience in Chinese.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah. So we had it done on a boat cruising the Pearl River, and that was really fun. And they had this guy like with this big blocky paintbrush, just like making these letters. And oh my gosh, my partner Steven was like, get him to do something there. So yeah, it was really fun. That was on this trip. I actually have this picture behind me.
Oh, nice.
Everybody who came along on the trip, and we were on the Pearl River cruise together that night. So that's a fun memory for me. So I always keep that behind me on my desk. But yeah, so that's a fun question. I really enjoyed answering that. Thank you for asking it. And then, so that on day one, we also had Timothy Bush, and Tim is the host of On the Shelf podcast, and he helps people get their products into big box retail stores. But Tim is also an incredible salesman. And when you're talking about pitching, and I know that we talked about this the last time we kind of came together, but actually seeing his presentation and coming away from it, I had so many takeaways. Because, whether you're talking about your business to somebody else, whether you're talking to a customer or a client or a supplier, it's a conversation. And how do you do it with confidence and ease? And what do you do when you have objections? How do you deal with that? And Tim taught us how to do it and how to do it with confidence. And then that night we had a pitch perfect workshop where people had a pitch competition, like The Voice, and their pitches, just from the growth from this, some of their pitches literally brought me to tears. They made me feel things. And I was like, wow, this was so powerful. So any one of these presentations alone, it's incredible. So the price we're charging for this conference is $99, and you get 3 days of content plus the new speakers. And like I said, we're not even through day one yet. So it's it's going to pay for itself a million times over. And I'm so glad that we can offer it at a price that's super affordable, that, we can just get the information out there to people, and you can watch it at your leisure, because a lot of this stuff is really deep,
Yeah, you almost want to just watch one and then go take action and then watch the next one.
Let it marinate a little bit. But yeah, so really good stuff. And then finally, we had Christina Urzimkaya. Oh my gosh, I cannot even pronounce her last name. She comes from Belarus, and she's a dear friend of mine. And she built her business from nothing. She came to this country with $200, and she has built a business in the medical industry. That she sells these products on Amazon, and now she's moving into retail, but she has built it from nothing. And her story is incredible. She even sells products that you can claim on your insurance.
Wow.
And she teaches us how to do that. How cool. So yeah, her presentation was so awesome. Really cool. And I can't wait to be able to share it with more people.
I just want to real quick say hi to Eat Sleep Amazon. She's saying, hey, ladies. Hi to Dwayne. And hi to Patty. We already said hi. And then Farsane has a good comment. He says, besides all the valuable information shared, the least that could happen for people when they attend conferences is that their willpower gets magnified and the urge to take action gets a much needed inspired by boost. Feelings that help set the path towards achieving one's goals.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh, I love that. You need to trademark that or something. It's a
We did
great
a show
book.
with Farstain. We've been doing so many shows, I have lost all track of time, but I think it was about a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. His show was really, really good for anybody who missed it. He's a very inspiring person.
Yeah, and
Um,
Patty says it sounds great with all the travel warnings. I think virtual conferences may be the future for 2020. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I know some of the major
Sadly.
conferences got
Yeah,
canceled.
a
Um,
lot. I've been seeing all kinds of friends post things about different trips they've had to cancel, whether it was conferences or something else. Just, I had a friend that was supposed to go to Japan and she's like not going anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, and I can understand like some of the trips to Asia. My daughters really wanted to go to Japan,
Mhm.
and we were like, let's just wait for things to kind of calm down in
Yeah.
Asia. We're still traveling, we're still getting on planes,
Yeah.
everything, but I get it. Like we've been saying, it's definitely something to be aware of. And this is not the first time that we have gone through something like this with the
Right.
virus or, so it's just good to be smart about it,
I
right?
was curious what everyone in DC would look like if people would be wearing masks or anything. Because I went yesterday to a hearing in DC, but I only saw one person the whole day wearing a mask, and everybody else was just going around their normal day. So I was on a metro, like
Yeah,
surrounded by people.
exactly.
So we'll see.
Yeah, we're going to Miami for spring break, and
Oh,
I'm looking
fun.
forward to that, like trying out some of the food and the culture. And we're staying on an Airbnb right on the beach and just kind of hanging out. And um,
Nice.
yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, I'm not. I've been traveling a lot. I just got back from Los Angeles from another conference that I was speaking at, and I didn't see anybody everybody on the plane wasn't wearing masks. Like
Right.
everyone's kind of going through their normal day. So,
Yeah.
so stay well, everyone. But yes, I'm glad that we can all come together virtually as well. Thanks
Yes.
for bringing that up, Patty. So the rest of the days, I don't want to. We had Nicole Whitlock come on, and she talked to us about entrepreneur mindset and considerations when starting. A takeaway that I took from hers was knowing when to pivot.
Hmm.
So you're going to come to all of these crossroads in your business. And she really taught us how to kind of like break down like what's important to us and knowing when to pivot in our business. That was just it was an incredible, her presentation gave me chills. Like
Wow.
I couldn't believe like things she said about mindset. And me, I've spoke on mindset.
Right.
And,
Right.
but the things she said really just stuck with me, and I can't wait to watch it again. Like I'll probably watch it 3 more times. But yeah, that was really good. And then Kristen Schultz talked about strategy and growth. So now, we went through day 1 where we're talking about vision and talking about our business. And then day 2, we focused on strategy, growth, strategic mapping, and goal setting. So Kristen talked about strategy and growth, and she did this really cool exercise with us because you guys, do you know what your business is going to be in 10 years? Can you visualize it?
Not really.
Would you like to learn how to visualize it
Yes.
without needing to be limited by what your business could become? So Kristen does an exercise with you during this presentation where she walks you through how to visualize your business in 5 years or 10 years, and then like what it is to become, and then like how to actually make that happen, how to put that on paper in terms of an organizational chart, in terms of what it could look like. And wow, it was so cool. It's a great exercise, and I can't wait for you guys to do it. And then we had Natalie Gingrich, and she's the ops authority. She's worked for major corporations running their operations. And operations is what runs our businesses day to day. Even if we are the ones working in those operations, what Natalie taught us is there's 7 strategic areas to operations in your business. Every business has the same 7 strategic areas. And so she taught us how to pick and prioritize these areas, and then how to know when to work on what and how often to work on it. And so it kind of like helps us like, oh, wow, why am I paying attention to this when it's not what matters in my business right now? And so she helped us kind of do that with this Post-it note exercise that she teaches. So good. And then I talk about goal setting. So I was a war planner in the military, and I take the 12-week year, which is a really popular book.
Mhm.
I teach you guys how to actually goal map using the strategies that I learned in the military and that I actually taught in the military. So it's kind of like the 12-week year with some really great tactical goal setting abilities for you and your business, so that you can take these goals that you got during these previous sessions and go, oh, wow, that's how I do that next week. That's how I get that done in a month. That's
Right.
how
Helps
I
you shorten
people.
the time periods. You just get it done. I think the 12-week year might be the book I read next, because every morning I post a quote from books that I'm
Yes,
reading.
I love that.
And so right now we're on Atomic Habits, and that one I think I'll probably take quite a while on, because I really like that book. But I think 12-week year might be the next one.
Yeah, it's a pretty good one. I like how it kind of breaks it up into 12 weeks, and that kind of helps you get places, makes it smaller chunks, makes it a little bit easier.
Yep.
Then finally we have on day 2, we ended up with AJ Smith, and she talks about
amazing. I love her energy and everything. I love it.
Yes, she's so much like, she has her own business kind of empowering women and basically teaching people how to believe in themselves and their capabilities. And she did this presentation that really helped us understand who our inner critic is. Maybe you don't know what an inner critic is, but you have one. I didn't know, but I have one. And I didn't realize how much this inner critic was actually limiting me. And the exercise that AJ takes us through during her presentation is how to have a defender of this critic. So now I have a defender to deal with my inner critic. When my inner critic starts telling me, like, you can't do that, or, no, you're not capable of that, or whatever, because, however you grew up, we all have an inner critic. And I didn't realize it until she broke it down for us. But she teaches us how to have a defender of that inner critic and how to very quickly and effectively move past those negative thoughts. Awesome. I know all of us can use that.
Yep.
Yeah. And then finally, day 3. So I know, like, you guys, that was only 2 days, and I know it's so much information. Day 3, we had execution. We're talking about execution. We got all this stuff planned out now. Day 3 is all about execution. So we had Jeff Schick, Amazon seller's lawyer, talk about business law. So Jeff Schick is an attorney at Ecom Attorneys. He paid for law school selling on Amazon.
So he has such a similar story to Paul Raffleson, because he did the same thing. He sold FBA to pay for law school.
Partners. Him and Paul are partners. So it's
I totally missed that part. Okay, now it makes sense. They found each other, like the two FBA lawyers.
Yes, I love it. So he was one of our most popular speakers because he gave so much practical information. Sometimes you talk to lawyers and you're like, what? Wait, huh? And Jeff he just talks to you like a normal person, and you can actually understand what he's saying. And so he got so many questions because he was breaking things down in terms that we could understand. So we got into all kinds of conversations about copyrights and patents and trademarks and suspensions on Amazon and just all kinds of different things. And he gave us so much awesome practical advice. So I can't wait for you guys to see that. And he's also going to do a live Q&A with us on the show during the virtual summit. So that's going to be awesome. We had somebody from a seed funding company come and talk to us about financing your business, when you should apply for financing, if you should apply for financing, how to do that. Like, what kind of things should you have together? So we got that, and that was really good. And then I did a presentation on social media planning, teaching you guys how to do SEO great content, so that actually when you post something online, it will matter and you'll get clicks and likes and people will share it and people will reach out to you and feel compelled to communicate with you. Yeah. So I talk about that. I talk about how to actually research the content that you should post. What does your customer base care about? So if you
I really need to learn. Okay, I'm gonna watch that like a million times, because I just kind of post whatever I'm interested in, and I really need to learn, like, what are people actually searching for?
Yes, we did
how to post it more clearly, because like I'll just post an interview I did with someone and basically just explain, like, okay, this is an interview with Amy Weeds, instead of being like putting in the words that people are searching for.
Yes,
So I need to get better with that.
exactly. So I teach you how to plan your content. I teach you how to find out what people are searching for. And then I teach you how to post effectively with that content. So I give you a bunch of free tools to use, the same tools that I use. It's funny because we ran through an exercise of one of the ladies that came. She actually has a water softener company here in San Antonio. And we actually did the search on water softeners, and she left she was like, I can't believe I didn't know this before. This is going to change my business, So she went home and she changed a lot of things. And recently she contacted me and she said a big corporation contacted her interested in talking about licensing her products under their brand. I mean, so cool. Like, it really makes a difference when you can get found.
Yeah. I mean, how are you supposed to grow if you can't get found? So it's like the first step.
Yep, exactly. So anyway, we do that. And then we've got Joy Packard, and she talks about outsourcing and building your team and chunking your time and doing all of that and cloning yourself, basically, because when we grow, we got to let go of some of the reins, right?
And guys, she is amazing. Has 8 kids or something? 6 kids? 8 kids?
8 kids and like 12 grandchildren.
Yeah. She needs all the time she can get. So she got good at outsourcing. And it's amazing to hear her story. So you guys will definitely like that if you haven't heard from her before.
Yeah, she basically makes it really easy to understand how to hire your first VA and how to communicate with them and how she did it. And then also how to manage your own time. She included that in her presentation, which you wouldn't think a presentation on outsourcing would include that. But you got to start with your own time before you can outsource some of it.
Absolutely. Yep. Because you also have to know what the steps are. So it's very clear when you're passing it on to someone else.
Yes. And then finally, this is it. This is the last presentation. We had Kevin Dickinson, and he started a business out of his garage, and he created products himself. Him and his wife were like gluing things together, and he started selling them on Etsy, and that took off. And then he moved to Amazon, his own website, and he has now scaled one brand to 7 figures. One of his products, Kylie Jenner was wearing. He's done so well. You hear about private label sellers that have 800 SKUs with 7 brands, but you don't usually hear about that with one brand growing their business, scaling it. Also, he talks about how he spent his time, how he did what he did, and then also mistakes and how he learned from them. And that was just a really cool, it was a really cool way to understand how one brand might be able to grow that way. And then also things to learn from and avoid and ways to grow along the way. So that is it, guys. 3 days of awesome content. Plus we're going to do live Q&As. Plus we're going to have new speakers like Helen. Helen, tell us what you're going to be talking about.
I am going to be talking about print on demand. So a lot of you guys have already heard about this, but you'll still like it. It'll still be good. But it will also be for people that are learning about print on demand and how to apply it to their businesses.
I love that. The last time we had you on our podcast, just talking about print on demand, that was it was such a popular episode. People were like, oh my gosh, I'm going to totally use that. So I know you being there is, of course, your community being there is going to be great, but the rest of the communities that are private label sellers that don't know the potential of print on demand is going to benefit from not only you being there, but people in the print on demand community being at this conference. Yes. So being able to talk to each other there and really talk about different strategies, awesome.
Yes, you can learn so much from other sellers that are in slightly different fields than you. It just opens your mind. But I really quickly wanted to say hi to Ted Parker and Musette. They're commenting. So thank you guys for watching. Can you real quick say some of the names of the new speakers, the ones that are coming?
So we have Nathan Hirsch. I'm still finalizing the schedule.
Okay.
But we have Nathan Hirsch coming and talking about outsourcing. He was the CEO of FreeUp. So he's got a lot of experience, a lot of great knowledge. We have Yev Marasuko coming and talking about Facebook ad hacks.
Oh my gosh, that's gonna be huge.
Yeah, Yev is a PhD, super smart, and sometimes Yev goes over your head, but the information he gives is gold because the stuff you got to go back and watch again. And you're like, ooh, I got to figure that out.
Yeah.
So we got Jess Hill coming to talk about building multiple streams of income. So she has like 11 streams of income now.
Awesome.
And so she's going to talk about all of that. Then we've got Helen coming and talking about print on demand. And I'm sure I'm forgetting people.
Perfect. Well, it's such a good range of people, and everybody's going to learn so much. So I really want to thank you for putting it all together and bringing everyone together.
Yes, I can't wait to see you guys there. And, don't wait. Get in on it. Let's do this together, y'all. Let's grow together. Let's spend some time during spring break together connecting, and let's all grow together. It's going to be a great time, and I can't wait to see y'all there. Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Amy. We always appreciate you coming on the show, and look forward to the summit.
Yes, definitely. See you guys there.
All right. Bye, everybody.